What's happening, everybody? We have made it through another fantasy football year. And I'm telling you, we will crown a champion this weekend. We got Chris and Big Reg in the finals. Unfortunately, neither one of your boys here made it, but it's all right because as the commissioner, I have overseen a great year of great competition, and there's always next year. So let me go ahead and hit the intro for all the sponsors and all the people out there, and here it goes. Good evening, folks, and welcome to Positions on Sports Talk Show Post live streaming on Facebook Live, our Positions on Sports Talk Show YouTube channel. And now you can see us featured on Twitch and a podcasting venue near you. So we're on all of them. So just check us out, Positions on Sports Talk Show. We are a sports talk show made for the fans from the perspective of fans from lifelong sports fans. We provide our opinions and positions on the hottest topic in sports. So, of course, tonight we are hitting you with the Power Play Fantasy Football Show, the last one of the season. I'm joined tonight by my brother Sense. Sense, go ahead and give the people what they want.
What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good, y'all? Last episode has been fun, been a long, great season. Unfortunately, as Prof mentioned, neither of us made it to the championship, but that's how it goes sometimes. Ready to get you right for the last week and beyond. So let's go.
That's right. That's right. So, of course, we're going to hit you tonight with the Power Play honors. We're going to hit you with who you should be starting and sitting for those of you who are in your championships. And then we're going to give you a little bit of what we thought about the rest of the year and what we're looking forward to in real life football and who could possibly take it all. And then we're going to talk about who were our favorite players this year that racked up the most fantasy points. So, like he said, let's go ahead and dive in. So, we're going to mix it up a little bit. We're not going to do a full injury report because, again, it's not necessary. Everybody should at least be in the first round of their playoffs. So, everybody is pretty much, not participating. So, the players that you need to make sure you put in or sit down based on injury. Of course, if you got Christian McCaffrey, he's been out pretty much the entire year. It's not looking favorable that he's even going to play the rest of the year. And even if he does, would you actually put him in your championship game? Most people would say, yeah, but it's risky because you don't know what Russ looks like, especially for a running back, because a lot of times when they hurt, they fumble that ball. That rock hits the ground. And you see that with none other than Ezekiel Elliott this year. People don't want to admit that brother is hurt, but he gets out there, and I don't make any bones about the Cowboys because I don't like them. So I'm not going to give any of them excuses. But from a realistic standpoint, he's not right, and that's probably why he's been fumbling the way that he does. But start who you want to start, but those injuries not looking good. We're going to go ahead and get the rabbit out the bag. Dwayne Haskins probably will have to start this week. If you have him, sense, I wouldn't play him at all. But if that's your only option, then more power to you. Sense, what you think out there? Anybody of noteworthy that is injured or coming off an injury that people should be paying attention to as far as their fantasy championship or playoffs is concerned?
I would say for those owning George Kittle, I believe he's back. He'll be back healthy for this upcoming game. So if you have him, definitely start him. And I believe that is all that I have.
You think Kittle would be a factor?
I mean, I think so. I feel like their offense has been suffering without him. I mean, Ayuk has, tried to do what he could. Jeff Wilson has been able to, do what he can, but Kittle was their bread and butter. So, to have him back definitely will, give him another target to throw to. And besides that, just, make it a little more smoother for Mullins or whoever starts in, his place. I believe they signed Rosen off the practice squad, Josh Rosen. So I don't know if he's going to start or Nick Mullins is going to start. I mean,
Yeah, I'm hearing that it's going to be Nick Mullins. No, not Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins is hurt. It's going to be
Josh
uh
Rosen.
no. The other backup quarterback, Beathard. Beathard is going to play. Look at
Okay.
this thing. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter. San
I want to say they're
Francisco,
not really going anywhere
yeah,
anyway.
they're not going anywhere. I don't really see them putting up a big fight. So I think they're going down in flames. So it
But
don't
as far
matter
as
too.
fantasy is concerned, having Kittle definitely, will maybe give you more than enough points to put you over the edge against whoever you face.
Okay. Would you take Kittle over Henry this week?
No.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, you
That,
mean
that
Hunter Henry?
yeah, Hunter Henry.
Um,
Yeah, Hunter
I
Henry.
thought you meant
Tight
Derek.
end.
I thought you meant Derek.
No,
Hmm,
it's a good one, right?
right. I would say only because he hasn't been active in a minute. I would still, just to be on the safe side, take Henry because I mean, Kittle, while explosive, he's just getting back into the fold.
Mm.
So it
Why I
might be
would take Henry is because of his quarterback. Herbert is playing lights out. That
true,
boy.
true.
See, this is what I wish we had in Washington with Mr. Haskins, but
Mhm.
it don't look like that's going to be ever because I expect them to go ahead and jettison him at the conclusion of the season. All right, so let's look at the honors. We're gonna look at the top dogs. Now we're doing it a little different from a more collective standpoint of who made these honors the entire year. So of course, I'm a little biased because he was my quarterback. I gotta have him at the top of the list. Top dog for the fantasy football season is none other than Josh Allen, quarterback, Buffalo Bills. He has showed out, and if it wasn't for him with the little small injury and setback, he only looked bad or not that great in maybe 2 games this year. But as soon as he came back, the boy was back on fire.
Yeah.
I mean, he put that team on his back. I know J3 argued on Tuesday night on the show that Stephon Diggs was the main character in that offense. And while I like Stephon Diggs, I'm glad he matured. But that offense runs and hums because of that man's arm and his legs, because he scrambles, he makes room, he gets time for himself to make those throws, not just the Diggs, but the Mr. Beasley as well. And then he has a nice tandem of running backs there. So I think he makes that offense really go. And I think, for the first time since 1995, wow, that's a long time ago, they are winning a division crown away from the Patriots. So that's
Buffalo's come a
amazing.
long way. That's
Yeah,
well deserved. I got to give
that's
him a call.
amazing. Right.
Mhm.
Next one is not a surprise to anybody, of course, is Mr. Discount Double Check, is Aaron Rodgers, quarterback Packers. I mean, he's just a staple. I mean, you can argue that he has Adams, he got a couple of nice, decent running backs back there when they get going, but really, he makes that offense go. The way he plays, if he plays poorly, notice in that Tampa Bay game, if he plays poorly, the rest of the team is just in the dumps. But when he plays well, he spreads the ball around. They making plays. They getting it done. I mean, I'm not an Aaron Rodgers fan either, but I got to tell the truth about how this man has played this year. They were not expected to win this division, let alone be in contention for the #1 seed in the NFC. I mean, it's unfathomable. Back on draft day, everybody was up in arms because they didn't get him any more offensive weapons. And all he did was stay in the driver's seat and push his team, and his fantasy points have been showing it week in and week out, except the game with Tampa Bay. That's pretty much it.
He's bet on himself. Definitely.
Yeah, exactly. And the next guy to round out the top 3 for this year is another quarterback, is Mr. Patrick Mahomes. It's no surprise that all 3 of these top dogs are in contention for the league's MVP award at the end of the season. So what can I say? This is the defending Super Bowl champion, defending Super Bowl MVP, former MVP of the league. And really, we have come to a consensus on Tuesday night and really the whole year that the Chiefs have pretty much been toying with people. Now, they had a real game against the Saints this past weekend, and had Drew not been rusty in the first half, this might have been an even better game, and the Chiefs might have walked out with a loss in that game. But I think that was a real Super Bowl preview that we might see both teams again on the last game of the season. Anybody else you want to throw in that top dog category before we move on?
Of course, you got to go with King Henry. I mean, he's been him and Tannehill. I would give them top dogs because they've really been carrying that Tennessee Titans squad on their backs, and they've been putting them in a place where you have to respect them. You have to respect the passing game and the running game, and
Right.
it's to their credit that's the reason. So.
Cool. So since you mentioned that, because I have Mr. Henry in another section of the honors, I have him down as the ultimate closer. And the reason why I put him there is because no team wants to see him in the fourth or in overtime. Because how many big runs has he broken off in the fourth quarter and in overtime? I mean, his stats are just ridiculous because while everybody is getting tired, getting worn out, and they starting to feel that soreness, that's when he start ramping up and start punishing people, and folks don't want to tackle him. So, of course, Derrick Henry gets the honor for being one of our ultimate closers for this year.
All I can think about is that Old Spice commercial.
Right. And to your point, Tannehill really benefits from that because most teams got to put 8 and 9 people in the box. So that leaves them with man-to-man coverage most of the time. So that allows for him to be able to throw over the top. He got some dog wide receivers that can catch the ball, break tackles, and get into the end zone. So Mr. Brown comes to mind. I mean, it's like they do it in a way where that offense is very formidable. And we'd be remiss if we didn't acknowledge them as a contender for the Super Bowl this year.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, of course, I got Kyler Murray as a closer. Not only what he can do throwing the ball to Mr. Hopkins, of course, but also with his legs and his feet being able to scramble at will, get out of the pocket, and just put a dagger in you, just getting 20, 30-yard chunks whenever he scrambles and gets out of there. He's like Mighty Mouse to me. You know, he's small, compact, but he's so fast and quick that before you know it, he just blew by you. And it's hard to catch up with him unless you got that speed to be able to catch that type of quarterback. So I got him as the ultimate closer this year as well. All right. So to round off those top three, this is the only one that made the list twice. Aaron Rodgers I put down as the ultimate closer as well because he has done things at the end of games. I mean, you saw it against Carolina. I mean, they look ragged and rough against Carolina, but he did just enough to make sure that his boys walked away with the victory there. So I'm expecting him to win the MVP this year only because he's done more with less. I know Patrick Mahomes, you know, he's just got that well-oiled offense. But really, outside of Mr. Adams, I mean, you can't really say he has one of the best players on the field outside of him, where you got Tyreek Hill, you got Kelsey, you know what I'm saying? You got Hilaire. Now Hilaire's hurt, but you're not doing badly. You got Le'Veon Bell who's starting to get his grind on. So I mean, it's like you got a plethora of weapons out there. You got what's his name? The other wide receiver, Watkins. Watkins isn't a scrub. He can play and step up. I mean, so he definitely has his weapons there to be able to use. And he got the other wide receiver. His name is slipping my mind.
I know you're talking about
start with an 8.
Hardman.
Yeah, Hardman. Yeah, Hardman a beast too. So it's like you can keep just going down the list of players that he can throw a deep ball to, an out route, over the middle, slant, post, whatever. I mean, Hilaire and Le'Veon can catch out of the backfield, and you can't sleep on Mahomes running either. So it's crazy. It's just a wealth of talent that they have on that team. And then you got Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy calling that offense. It's just
give that man a head coaching job.
Right. And he deserves it. He deserved it 2 years ago, but I'm glad he got his ring first. Now he can go get that money and get a top job. All right. So we're going to continue on for the sleepers for the year. So, of course, I know he came on late, but his impact the last couple of weeks have been such a huge change for this team. And not only then Jalen Hurts, quarterback for the Eagles. If you watched them, that Eagles offense is totally different with him back
Night
there
and day.
because he's
Night and
not
day.
stationary, he's not afraid, and he's able to make the right reads and the decisions, something that Carson Wentz has or had the ability to do, but he just seems so shell-shocked. It just don't seem like he has it anymore. And I told people when he came back from that horrific knee and leg injury, he would not be the same type of scrambling quarterback that he was when he had the Eagles humming before they won the Super Bowl and he got injured. He has not been that deadly scrambler like he was. In fact, and this is the truth. In fact, Josh Allen looks more like he did before he got hurt, being able to scramble and throw the ball. I think it's mental with Carson Wentz, and maybe a nice offseason might get him together. But the problem is that he might have already lost his job, so
And
they
he
might
don't
be
understand
shopping him around this year.
Yeah,
Rumor
yeah.
is that maybe Frank Reich, who was his offensive coordinator and quarterback coach in Philly, might want him if Philip Rivers decides to hang it up. So we'll see.
We'll see.
All right, next one is J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins, I think it was because of Clyde Edwards-Helaire really stealing the spotlight for rookie running backs early in the year that J.K. kind of got a slow start. And I think with Ingram going down, early to the mid-season and Dobbins getting more of that run, he just got more and more, confidence each week in, week out. And now he's like that alpha male where, I don't know when Ingram's contract is up, but hey, J.K. Dobbins is a nice transition. He's younger, he's hungry, and he looks like he can carry the load as the number one back. So I called him another great sleeper for the entire school year. What for the entire football year. Life of an educator, we can use it. And lastly, I gotta say it because everybody dogged him, including me, when they said that he was the Colts quarterback for this year. But Philip Rivers has really done the job. I know we watched him the last couple of years out there in San Diego / LA with the Chargers, and he just didn't look good. He was a turnover machine. He looked old. Matter of fact, he looked there like Ben does at the end of the year with the Steelers on this side. So I thought I was shoveling dirt on him, but he shut me up as well as a lot of other critics because now he got this team not only humming, but they have a chance to take over the number 2 seed in the AFC, and nobody saw that one coming. We thought that AFC South division was just going to be terrible, but hey, they proven us wrong.
Give credit to that running game too, John.
Yeah, their running game, that two-headed monster they have is nice. So if folks got any of those cats on their team, I would definitely play them. That reminds me of the Rams running attack. They were good. Now everybody's hurt. So it's like Cam Akers went down last week. So it's crazy. All right, quick hits. You're going to like this one. You're going to like this one. All right, so of course, I got to give a shout out to WTF wide receiver Terry McLaurin. Of course, he is a quick hitter. Now, he didn't rise up to the other ranks because there were some games where he was double teamed, terrible quarterback play, whatever you want to say, that he wasn't a factor. But a majority of this football season, fantasy football season, he has racked up the high double-digit points. He's done his thing. He's been the man on the field. So, of course, I got to call him a quick hitter because when he get the ball, every single time he can take it to the house. And you wouldn't be surprised about the next guy I'm about to say because that's exactly what he is. He's a quick hitter, Tyreek Hill, wide receiver Chiefs. So, of course, this man, anytime he's on the field, he can go for a home run any single time. And he stays healthy. So he's unlike Deshaun Jackson. Yes, I did throw a shot because he stole money from Washington. So I'm definitely going for him.
Philly.
Right. Twice. Twice. Yeah. All right. And the last one for quick hitters is DK Metcalf. I mean, the guy is just a specimen with speed. I mean, what can you say? He can do it all over the field. He's not afraid to take hits because he actually gives hits. He actually has that burst that can take him from a simple 2 to 5 yard slant. And if you don't get hands on him, he's gone. That dude has been on this list several times throughout the year. So we got to give him love and keep him there at the end of the season. And lastly, we got the quiet storm. And even though he didn't end the season the same way he started it due to injury, I got to give it up for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, running back Chiefs. He has had a phenomenal rookie season. He's done the job. And this is pre-Le'Veon Bell. This is when, what's his name? I think his name was Williams. When Williams opted out of the season, and they really didn't know what this young man had in the tank, because it's one thing to do it in college and then to translate it into the pros. He has made that transition. Therefore, he has been just boiling over all year long. So definitely he got the thunder and lightning, and that's why he stays in the quiet storm. And then, of course, Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill is really learning how to be an NFL quarterback, yet he still had command of a high-powered offense and only lost one game that was close that really could have went either way. But he has really done a great job in stay of Drew Brees, and I think that he has a long history in this league. Still, jury is out whether he can be a full-time, full-season quarterback, but under Sean Payton, this is a good start, because you don't know what's going to happen with Mr. Winston next year. He only signed a 1-year deal, and you don't know if Drew Brees will ride off into the sunset, whether he gets another ring or he just calls it a career. But we shall see. So kudos to Taysom Hill. And then, of course, that rounds out our quiet storm. So good job to those fellas for really making this year wonderful and exciting. All right. So from there, I'm going to turn it over to you, Sense, and let the folks know who they should be starting and who they should be sitting for this final week of the fantasy football season.
All right. Thank you, Prof. So let's get it going with the final sensible picks for the football season as soon as I can pull it up. Bear with me.
No problem. So there's no game tonight, y'all. The game is actually tomorrow. So while he's pulling that up, so the NFL, I love this time of year because we get Saturday games, since college football is really on a break until New Year's Day. I mean, I know it was a bowl game today. I can't even tell you which one it was, but the two teams were like 5-4 and 4-5. I'm not watching.
I think Hawaii and Houston.
Yeah, that's what it was. Hawaii and Houston. I was like, man, no. That's where Ohio State should have been, but we ain't gonna
we will talk about that another day. All right, so for your starts, I have Jalen Hurts versus Dallas. Jalen Hurts' era has officially arrived in Philly. He has been on a roll, scoring 63 fantasy points the past 2 games. The Giants will provide another opportunity for the rookie to feast. And speaking of feeding time, I got the Washington defense against Carolina. This is the best situation for them to be in, with clinching the NFC East being 1 win away. Chase Young and the crew will strike early and often, bringing major points for you. Next, I have David Johnson versus Cincinnati. I know we haven't heard that name in a while, but it's about time for that once premier back to get his due against a hobbled Bengals defense. And last, I have Jarvis Landry versus the Jets. With ODB gone, Jarvis has been blessing them, as he likes to say, with TD after TD. And now going against the Jets, oh boy. That's all I got to say about that. And now for my sit-em downs. I have Ben Roethlisberger versus Indiana. I hate to say it, but it looks as if Big Ben is on his last leg. With poor production in the past 3 games, it's not going to get any easier against Indianapolis. Next, I have Wayne Gallman versus Baltimore. Against that Baltimore front 7 and a playoff berth in the balance, Gallman is getting nothing on Sunday. Sorry to say. That defense is going to be all over anything Daniel Jones and Joe Judge or Jason Garrett has planned. So I definitely sit him. Next, I have Mike Davis versus Washington. C for show starts. That's all I got to say about that. I've already talked about the Washington defense, so no need to elaborate there. And last, I have Juju Smith-Schuster versus Indianapolis. Ever since his TikTok antics, Juju has been the Bama of the week, and it's definitely showing in his play. So I don't think Ben is going to be looking his way, or Tomlin might have gave him a talking to, but I think his pride going to be a little hurt, and he ain't going to be giving you much production this week. So definitely sit him.
Boy, you crazy.
And that's my sensible picks, my final sensible picks for this football season.
I'm going to throw in there Alvin Kamara as a for sure sit. And the reason is because the Saints are now throttling down to get ready for their playoff run. They already put Thomas on IR, so he'll be fresh. Kamara really hasn't been himself, and I think that's purposeful the last 3 weeks. I think he found his moments in each game, but he hasn't been that dominant player. And I don't think it's due to injury. I just think that maybe the Saints were content with maybe even if Green Bay sneaks the number 1 seed, because they are equipped to go into Lambeau and beat them. Let's be honest.
Mhm.
But I think they want Murray to take most of the reps. And then I think this week we might, if Drew Brees is playing well, he'll probably finish the game. But I think if he struggles even a little bit, we might see some of Winston, just so Sean Payton can see what he has, just in case he might need him in the playoffs. So we shall see. But I would definitely sit Mr. Kamara, and because he'll be getting ready for the playoffs. So that's a word to the wise to everyone. You might have the top-notch players for your championship game in fantasy football, but pay attention to what their coaches might do. A lot of coaches' decisions happen the last 2 weeks of the season where they're getting their players ready for the playoffs. So I would say do a little bit more digging and research, watch the little ticker, look it up and make sure your players are full go, but they might not factor in that much, because it's better to be healthy for the playoffs than to risk a big time injury and hinder your hopes.
Exactly.
Yeah, Juju, man, he probably still feeling
yeah. See, that's when you get a little too happy that you're winning, and I think that's what's been the Steelers' downfall. They started to get a little too cocky, and it's showing.
I might sit Claypool too. See, I think Ben, I don't think that arm and that elbow will ever be the same again. And if you notice, he only good for 1, maybe 2 shots down the field, and then everything else is short stuff.
Yeah.
I think and it's cold now. Remember, it's December. So I think them joints, man, they tighten up. You get some arthritis in the joints a little bit, and it just gets hard to really throw the ball. And without a real consistent running game, man, it's conceivable. Ed might be right. They might make it to the playoffs, but they might be one and done.
Get knocked out.
Yeah.
Especially if you come against a team like Cleveland. I mean, that can knock you out. Yeah.
I'm telling you. And Nick Chubb should eat. Oh, man, he should eat this week. So whoever has Nick Chubb, you got him on your fantasy league, he should start this week. He gonna eat.
It's that thunder.
It's the Jets, man. It's the Jets, right? It's the Jets. If you got Hunt or Chubb, play them. Manziel, play them. They slinging. Manziel is proving a lot of people wrong too.
Oh, yeah.
2 of the surprise cats were Phillip Rivers and Manziel.
You mean Mayfield?
Huh? Yeah.
Mayfield.
I always do that with them. Yeah, Mayfield. Yeah, but cool. All right, so let's close things out with our final question of the fantasy football year. And who was your fantasy football MVP?
Well, I would have to say Patrick Mahomes. He was consistent as far as point production. Even as getting me as much as 87 points in one week. So he definitely did good for me, and that's who I got as MVP.
Excellent. It's a tie for me. I got Josh Allen, and then I got Derrick Henry, because Allen has benefited me this entire season with 40s, 50s, just consistent points. And it's like, wow, every single time he just didn't let me down. So I got to take my hat off to him. And Derrick Henry, the way he chews up yardage and touchdowns, I mean, I didn't have him. I wish I did. but just paying attention to his fantasy numbers throughout this season. I mean, dude is just a rock. He's consistent. And then, honorable mention has to go to, Aaron Rodgers, cats like Tyreek Hill, definitely Nick Chubb, all those cats. If Chubb didn't get hurt, midway through the season, he and Henry would have been neck and neck for that title, for the rushing title this year. So, because that's how it was last year. So those two definitely be clocking each other and making sure they know what's going on in that backfield.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, man, this has been a great year of fantasy football. Look for us to come back next year, and it should be much better. We'll be past, COVID-19. Things will be, back the way it needs to. And then you'll see all the fellas back together again in the same room. So the energy will be up as well next year for fantasy football. Certainly, we'll let you guys know through our social media outlets who hoist the trophy. We got Big Reg versus Chris, and we shall see. The best man will win. And I'll have some work to do to get the trophy engraved for whoever the champ is for this year. So this is the Commissioner, Professor J, thanking you guys for a wonderful, wonderful fantasy football season. Merry Christmas. God bless you. Stay safe. And I'll turn it over to Sense to close the show out with his final thoughts.
Echoing Prof, this has been a great season. One of just discovery, seeing who is the power players, who's the quiet storms, and what have you. Wishing you all a happy, safe, and wonderful holiday season. Much, much, much prosperity in the new year. And we will see you, Lord willing, back in September.
Cool. All right. We out.